Hi, my name is April Myers, and I'm the technology teacher at Trinity Lutheran School. I really appreciate you tuning in for a few minutes today. I'm just attempting to give you a few tips, a few things to help you integrate technology into your lives. It's already there. We know technology is a part of all of our lives, but especially with our little ones, we want to take some control about how it is a part of their lives. When I was starting to make this video, I thought about comparing a child's use of technology to teaching a child how to cross the street. So when we are their parents, when we're the adults that they trust in their lives, when they are small, we're teaching them how to cross the street. We are communicating, we are telling them that we're going to look one way and then the other. We're telling them that they, up to a certain age, they're going to hold our hands, and we are going to show them when it's safe to cross. And our goal in that is that eventually they're going to be able to do it on their own. Our goal is not that every time they cross the street, they're going to come to us and take their hand in ours, and that we're going to always lead them across. We're hoping that we give them the skills, we give them the confidence, we give them the safety precautions that they need to later on do it on their own. So I feel like technology use is the same. We want to give them those precautions, those safeties, those limits now, but we want to teach them how to do that for themselves later on. So I'm going to talk about 5 different things that I think we really want to focus on when we're using technology with small kids. The first one is time. No child is going to limit their time on technology on their own. Um, you're going to have to do it. The recommendation is that only about an hour a day is spent on technology for a 3 to 5 year old. And that hour a day is only recommended if that child is sleeping 10 to 13 hours and that child is also physically active 3 hours a day. If the sleep and the activity is less, then that 1 hour should actually be less. And the things that they are spending time on should be interactive on screens. That 1 hour should be something that they're actually interacting with, not just sitting and watching. So those are the recommendations for time. When a kid gets older, they can start learning how to limit their own time. We do screen tickets with our kids. They get a certain amount every week, and then they can use them up all at once. They can spread them out over the week, and that way they're learning to gauge and to limit their use throughout the week, throughout the weekend. And they're kind of learning what that feels like, that appropriate amount of time, how it feels when they work it into their own lives. And then eventually, when you take those tickets away, hopefully they have those skills to limit themselves. Another thing we want to limit is space. We want to put the restrictions on where they use technology. It might not seem like a big deal for a child to take their tablet or take your phone into their room and play a game, but it's going to be harder later to add that restriction of space. So we want to establish it from the start. I know that with the learning from home, we already had our establishment of the kids don't take technology to their bedrooms. So when they started learning from home, all the Chromebook interactions, everything that they were doing for school was in a public place. Their screens face outward so we can see what's on their screens all the time. And that's just a given. There was no communication, there was no conversation about it because it was already established in our house. So the earlier you can establish that space rule, the easier it will be. Another thing that you need to do is to control content, what they're watching, what they're interacting with on screen. This takes time. It takes time to preview things. It takes time to check everything out. But they should know that the things they interact with on their screens are always things that you have pre-approved. So they know that you're going to tell them what they can and can't do, and you're going to explain it to them. Why don't we do certain games? Why don't we watch certain shows? That's a conversation that is great to have. And we also want to make sure that they know what they're doing is something that they can talk to you about. So the next thing that I would recommend is that you always have those conversations. You open up those lines of communication. They might have something pop up on their screen. You want them to come to you. You want to establish that. It is really, really important for you to be careful of how you react when they do have a problem with what's on their screen. If they come to you and say, something happened, I pushed a button, and you get really upset, they might not come to you next time. So a great way to approach it is just to say, this happens, always come to me. I'm so glad you came to me, and we're going to fix it together. So that they know that when something scary or strange or something they don't understand comes onto their screen, they go to an adult that they trust. And you've established that now. And you also want to have that conversation go the other way. You want to show them and talk to them about what you're doing on your screen. Okay, so that communication goes from them to you and from you to them. You might pick up your phone and you might be texting, and maybe it's a great time to say to your child, hey, I'm texting grandma because I want her to know we're praying for her today. That way they see how you're using technology and what it's how it fits in our lives, and how their parents use it is probably going to be how they want to use it eventually. So that communication both ways is so important. And lastly, don't replace everything with technology. We want to show our kids that we are still reading books and we're still playing board games, and they need that. There are books on screens that they can be watching, but a lot of times when you watch those books on screens, all the blanks are filled in, and the same connections are not made in young brains when they're watching things that already have all those connections and all those things filled in for them. If they're reading a book where some gaps are missing from one page to another, they have to make those connections themselves, then there are awesome, awesome things happening in their little brains that can't happen without that. So we want to show them that we don't replace everything with technology. We set our phones down. They're going to be watching you. Make sure when you're talking to them, when they're talking to you, when you're talking to other people in your homes, that you set those phones down. They are out of your hands, and you are giving the people your full attention, because they're going to watch that and they're going to want to mimic that. And I really just hope that these tips help you out. I know that technology is here to stay. I know that we need to learn the skills of technology, but they are always changing. So our goal is to teach our kids how to use it, how to learn more about it, and how it fits in our lives. I really appreciate you watching today. Thank you so much.